Hello and welcome to Mental Health Awareness Week, Day 4. Today we're going to be talking about my recovery and how I got back to a place where I felt normal again and where I felt I was back to my original self. And that all started with coming back from Singapore. In Singapore I was very sedated with drugs. I was on a really high dosage of a drug called olanzapine. This was a mood suppressor and essentially made me sort of very flat and very level. What I'm going to show you here is a brief snippet from Singapore so you can kind of get a bit of an idea of what that drug did to me and what it kind of turned me into as a person.
Right, my name is Daniel John Miller. I am 19 and a half years of age. I'm trying to be a university student because I'm a student of life, learning, always learning. Remember, I'm in Singapore because I was too active on a plane. So what does that tell you about free will? Is it scary, or are people just scared of free will? I am what I would call the placebo effect, because I can help people if I want to help them. But I can't help people forever. They've given me 7 days. 7 days to save the world. And I think it's possible. I really do. This is Dan Miller and I'm signing out for my fourth meeting. So goodbye and farewell. See you later, San Francisco.
As you can see, not the most tantalising piece of camera you've probably ever seen. The stark reality of it is that drug just put a dampener on everything that I could kind of experience for the next 6 months. When I was home I ended up eating a lot more, maybe because of the part of being so low, but equally the drug itself had side effects of potentially increased appetite. This then led to me putting on quite a fair degree of weight, which I know it's wrong to kind of look at yourself in that vain way, but when I put on that weight I just didn't really feel like myself. I lost a lot of confidence because of that weight gain, and as you can see it wasn't huge, it was just enough to make me feel worse than I needed to at the time. Thinking you're on top of the world and, you know, essentially starting a new religion to then being rock bottom back at home, there's no prospects of anything for you, it really does take a hit. We thought it'd be a great idea to go see my auntie down in Spain, and a road trip was the best way to do that. So I'm going to pass over to Dad now and he's going to just chat through with myself about how we found that experience and what happened on that trip specifically. So back in 2016 we took a road trip down to go see your sister down in Spain, and halfway through the trip I changed from olanzapine to aripiprazole, and because of that I experienced some quite severe anxiety on the way back to England. What was it like from your point of view seeing that and being experienced to that?
But during the time there, as you say, you changed from one drug to another, and it was with that change, it changed the way that you were receiving things. And so what we then set off back to the UK, and to try and sort of have some structure within it, because you clearly need to when you're touring, we did book up some hotels. Now, your anxiety manifested itself in almost from the time we got up in the morning. You needed to be where we were going to be that next night, and we're constantly on edge, I think, about being able to achieve the next leg of the trip, which made it very difficult because it was partly supposed to be a relaxed trip home, but actually it was constantly, why are we going to get there? Are they going to close the hotel? Will we be able to get in? Will we have to find somewhere else? Will we be able to find somewhere else? All these things were going through your mind, and it did make it very difficult. You know, just patience and, you know, explaining times and looking at the route, looking at the sat-nav, you know, saying where the time was going, where we were. I think we managed to cope, but it was a difficult time.
And from your point of view, someone that's never really experienced that side of things firsthand, how was it trying to get your head around something that seemed so irrational, me being worried about, for instance, parking for pizzas, for monetary things, getting back to the hotel on time?
By that time I had just really accepted that this was part of the recovery process, which was around changing the drug. You know, as a parent, you know, just have to be patient and accept that. Yes, of course it was difficult. It probably wasn't what either of us were hoping it to be.
From my point of view, obviously it was almost as irregular as you, in the sense I'd never experienced anxiety like that. You know, I've had anxiety, nervous for an exam or something, but as you say, it was as soon as I got up at the start of the day, I was there worrying about where we were going to go. If we were in the car, I was even worried when we were coming back through Spain that a rock would fall off the top of this gradual mountain and hit you in the head and I'd be forced to try and drive. It was a completely irregular thoughts.
You could see danger everywhere where there was no danger.
There were things that, you know, like I was worried about you having a stroke whilst driving. Anything that meant that I would then have to be in control of my own situation, I was absolutely petrified. And I remember trying to just get to bed every time really quickly, because at least when I was asleep, I didn't have to, there was no worry. That is anxiety. anxiety, and a lot of people have that every day, and that's a reality.
It did give me an insight into what anxiety is and how it affects people.
I think the hardest thing about it now is every time I'm like, should we go for a road trip? Well, what's the schedule? It's so large, I couldn't possibly go. But it's not an easy thing to go through, I think, having that. And I appreciate that you took the time to be able to kind of handle that, despite all of its difficulties, I suppose. As my dad mentioned there, I experienced an acute episode of anxiety. Now, that element of it all was something I'd never experienced before. I'd never felt an element of being so worried and scared and just constantly fretting about every little benign thing that could possibly happen in a scenario. However, when I came home, the drug change did help me, but not enough. That summer of 2016 was really, really tough for me, and I spent a lot of it in my bedroom, sleeping for half of it, and just feeling a bit sorry for myself. Because of that, I decided to speak to my mum specifically about how she handled that element of what I'm going to say depression. Thank you for joining me for day 2. Day 4 even, gosh, even that. After coming back from Singapore and getting into a sort of slump over the summer of 2016, how would you describe that, and how did you deal with that as a parent?
We were very, very insecure. I remember at the time we were doing all the work on the atrium, and we were in your old playroom as our front room, and the only place you wanted to sit was on the sofa between your dad and I. And it was just hard to see you going through it, and it was hard that you wouldn't listen to us because you were in a very bad place. You know, we went to Cornwall, we put lots of things in place that meant you weren't just here, but at the end of the day, however supportive we were and however much we were there for you, you were the one that got to the point that you pulled yourself out of it. And I definitely think when the drugs got reduced, and that was a significant turning point. And the psychiatrists and your consultants that came to the house and talked to you, sometimes you were going, I want to go on to the next, I want to go, and they were going, you're not quite ready there. And in hindsight, they were absolutely right.
100%. I've really struggled with the drug aspect of it because I did really feel like it was bringing down my mood, and as someone that probably is more on the vain side of life, when I put on weight I really didn't like it, and I just blamed the drugs for that because apparently it could have an element of that, when realistically I was most likely depressed and I didn't want to admit it. In the end of the day, it was far easier sitting up in my room in a pity hole and sleeping God knows how many hours a day than to kind of face what had happened. But I got really confused about depression and thinking it was always orientated around suicide or always orientated around a certain thing, and and realistically it was just that I was depressed. But there was something at the time where I just couldn't admit to having something else wrong with me.
And I think you've been so high, so incredibly high, you were going to come down from that. And a lot of you saying you were sleeping, we all know that the body's way of healing is to rest. 2016, that's what your body needed.
I remember going to Gareth, one of my tutors at university, and it was straight after the event, came up a month after it in April, and just said, just give me the essays, give me them, and I'll catch up. I can smash them out in a week, it'll be fine, and I'll graduate with all my friends, and I won't have to, and I'll still graduate by 2017, and it'll all be fine. And I just didn't want it to be an acknowledgement that it was going to set back my life. And Gareth, very rightly so, said, you need to just take a step back, take some time for yourself, spend some time with your family, and come back to this stronger. And he was 100% right.
But it was like a record on repeat. I just had to listen to you and hold you when you cried, and there was nothing else I could do, which was awfully, from a parental perspective, and all mums and dads out there will know what I mean, you know, all through your life, whatever had gone wrong I'd fix, and this I couldn't fix. The only person that could fix it was you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mum, and as always, it's been great to have you.
Pleasure.
Yes. So then, moving back through out of the summer of 2016, I did start to feel a bit more like myself. I started going to 21st, I started going to parties, I started seeing my friends more, and that really did help. And then come January 2017, I returned back to university. University was same as it always was, frantic, a lot going on, a lot of sleep, a lot of drink. I even smashed up my face, which you'll probably see in a minute, and that was very much status quo. Summer of 2017, I then finished the medication, which was amazing, that had been slowly dosed down. I did push back, but they said, no, you've got to wait, you take your time, there'll be less chance of relapse. And I knew one thing above all else, I didn't want this to happen again. Autumn of 2017, and then obviously into 2018, this was my last year of university. I was almost back to where I was happy with. But there was one bit missing. I still had this weight put on from the drugs, the olanzapine essentially, that I still couldn't shift. My housemates at university were fantastic and amazing, and they even made a bet actually, but like, we bet you can't lose weight, and that really, really encouraged me on. I had a great help from a friend called Adam Williams, who really put me into shape and helped me get to a point where I was happy with. And I know it sounds vain, but gave me that confidence back that I've been missing for so long. One thing that did happen though is I still couldn't finish my university assignments. I couldn't quite get that motivation. I'd almost fallen out of love with academia, some sort of motivation in me that I couldn't quite find to finish this, and so I deferred a year, which was a really, really hard decision for me. 2019 was a huge year for myself. Managed to get the degree, which was a huge accomplishment. And started a fantastic job at a local media agency called Pinpoint Media, who have been fantastic and encouraged me to do lots of my mental health work that I do today. It is hard to kind of come to terms with it. The main thing I would say is it's that element of time, it's that element of support from friends and family that really bring you out. Yes, there were drugs, they helped control and suppress me to a certain degree, and I needed them, but that protected environment, my friends and family that essentially gave me this cushion, this protected area to give me the time that I needed, was, I can't put into words about how valuable that was. But yes, that is all for day 4 of the Mental Health Awareness Week vlog. I hope you tune in tomorrow, where we'll be addressing stigma and this new normal, and got to the stage where I'm okay to talk about it today. Thank you for watching, and as always, hope to see you tomorrow.